Welcome back to H-Lock Gaming. In today's video, we're going to take a look at this video Simon put out on his channel about the alpha being close, a few pictures from Discord for characters, and then a bunch of character reveals and a few skills for the Tuesday video. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so here's Simon showing the caverns again, and the only thing I wanted to note here is if you notice, the boss changed. It was Icarus's picture before, and I assume this is sort of the stage boss, not a mini boss or actual boss, but one of the enemies of the stage, like you'll kind of see in other games like this. So I just wanted to make note that it did change, so it seems like they're still tweaking it, maybe, as far as the lineup for every battle. I wanted to show this part as well because he shows some characters in battle that we haven't seen before, and specifically we can see Asag. He's going to choose here in a second, and we can see it's a giant character, so we'll see how big they are compared to the others. And you can see as well Icarus is looks almost as large, but you got to remember he's sort of floating, as you can see him there, flying, flapping his wings. And I also never really thought about this before as well. When he selects a character, or rather when it's a character specific turn and they're using a skill, it goes to that individual instead of that person sort of hopping out of the lineup, doing the skill and coming back, which is what I think most of us are used to seeing in games like this. So I wonder if that's a alpha thing or has to do with, because at this part he's actually talking about how they're kind of still doing different stuff with the camera angles. So I wonder if it has to do with that or if that's how they're going to do the game in general. I guess let me know down below how you feel about that sort of each character being alone when they do their skill. Do you like it or do you like it more what we've seen before, like when they come out of the lineup? All right, here he's going to go over some promotion stuff, and I wanted to just show that because you can see, a single star up is or from 1 to 2, I guess, was almost 18,000 there is what it looked like. And then he shows it here with Anubis as well. Yeah, you can see 90,000 there to get to 3 stars, but you got to figure that's going from 1, 2 to 3. But it looks pretty costly, so we'll have to wait and see how much we actually get from each level. But that seems like it's going to be costly to get a character all the way to 6 star. I don't know how hard or easy that is. And then now he actually shows some sets we haven't seen before, so I'll show that real quick. All right, I wanted to show these sets that he shows real quick. So right here we see Brawler gives you HP plus 15% if you have 2 of them. Don't worry that they all look the same. He touched on that. That's something they're working on. And then the next one I'm actually going to skip a bit ahead because it shows more of the breakdown if you have like a full set, if you want to call it that, 6 pieces. Okay, here we see the Dragon set, which starts off with resistance plus 1% on each turn, max 15 stacks. So plus 15% is how I'm reading that. And that appears to be 2 out of 6. It doesn't say, but I'm going to guess this is 4 out of 6 and then 6 out of 6. Resistance plus 45. But then this last one grants 30% chance to reflect a blocked or resisted debuff or disease. That seems pretty powerful, so this could be a very good set for alpha. So we'll have to wait and see where you can actually get it from. I do wonder with it being called Dragon if we literally are going to kill one of the many dragons we've seen so far in this game to get it. That's sort of my guess so far. And the fact that it seems so good, I'm thinking it might be at least midway through the tower before we get something like this. Because, 30% chance to reflect. That's definitely going to be very helpful in specific boss fights within the caverns. I'm kind of hypothesizing. I don't know yet, but it seems that way. All right, I just wanted to show off this character because I don't think we've seen this view of it before. We did know this was a character in game, but he kind of, does the little spin and shows it off a bit. That was about it for this. Now we're going to get to some quick Discord leaks. Okay, here we got a pooch, or a putch, I forget how you say it, giving me, if you look at the face right here, let's see if I can zoom in on it. That looks almost like they don't have skin over their mouth, And then this is sort of a bloated look. So it's almost like it's a corpse. So sort of a undead character, giving me kind of witch doctor vibes. So I have to see what kind of skills they end up having, but very cool. Obviously, this isn't, I always say rendered in game, but I think I'm saying that wrong. This is, a 3D render, and then we'll have to see it in game would probably be the correct way to say it. But cool detail on these, I don't know, jade sort of clasps, if you want to call them that. See it all over. It's not really armor, but just part of the outfit. And the gauntlets look pretty cool, ordained with gold. And then leather underneath is what it looks like. And obviously the headpiece, right? That gives you sort of Aztec witch doctor vibes or something like that, right? And then the back too. The feathers and the coloring, how it kind of fades and turns to pink. Very nice. Oh, and then you see more of the gold work back here. Okay. Let's take a look at yeah, there's just a different angle of the face. And again, you can see, right? Looks like it doesn't have skin, maybe? I don't know. Definitely doesn't have lips. But I don't know, maybe they got burnt as part of some ritual. And now that kind of, gave them this evil vibe and they're taking the revenge in some form or fashion. All right, then let's take a look at a new concept for a character, or rather, a concept revealed for a character. All right, this is Cizin. When I looked up stuff about them, they were a Mayan god associated with death, earthquakes, and the underworld. So again, a deity or being that's associated with death/underworld. And like I said in last week's video, are we going to see some necromancy skills? That could definitely be a possibility with this character, right? A sort of, I don't know, living skeleton, if you want to call it that. Is this flame sort of giving it life, Is it some sort of unholy power that it draws from to bring it back from the dead? Because it would make sense for this character to sort of raise a character from death, but then it's a skeleton like this or a corpse or something like that instead of fully revived. I can see that happening. But we can kind of see the difference in the coloring, like here at the shins and the feet, and then the, part of, I don't know what you call this, part of the skirt, I guess, has a little bit of a different pattern. But the weapon is probably the coolest looking, this scythe. And there is a character in the reveal from Tuesday's video that I'm going to show that I really was digging. I call her the Murder Bride. Has a weapon, more of a short-handed sickle than a scythe, but we'll get to that. Anyways, yeah, so let's get to Tuesday's video. All right, before we get into this video, I did want to mention that Fateless has sent out emails about the upcoming alpha. It doesn't tell you what wave you're in or anything yet, so it's not anything you have to respond to, but it came a few days ago, so if you didn't see it, check maybe your spam folder. Maybe you deleted it quickly just to make sure you're getting them, because you don't want to miss out on that. But yeah, let's get into it. And I'm not really going to break down the mythology of all these characters because there's a ton, but the first one here we got is Lebu. And one thing that was interesting when he was talking about this character, he said, the hair looks like it could almost be a weapon. And I didn't even consider that with any of these other characters, using other parts of their body. So clearly, he didn't say for sure if they're going to have a skill that you use its hair as a weapon, but, the fact that he mentioned that makes me think it's a strong possibility, and we're going to see some, sort of different attacks that we haven't seen from other games, different use of characters' bodies in terms of how they attack. So, but I am digging the weapon over here. This axe has a specific name, and I couldn't find it, and I don't remember what it is, but it is definitely giving me sort of Dynasty Warrior type vibes, this character overall. But yeah, I'm digging that. And again, his name is Lebu. I think that's how you say it. Okay, here we got Q Chen. Very detailed, but again, what I'm really looking at is the weapon, Obviously, there's a move she could do and kind of shoot like daggers out, or actually shoot daggers and sort of, I don't know, a wind power almost. So yeah, looking forward to her when she's more fully developed. But a good first concept. Oh yeah, I loved this one. I don't know, he didn't give a name. I just call it the demon horse. You can't see behind him. I'll see if I can play it, and it shows it has hooves though. But man, look at all the different possibilities for weapons. I don't know if he's going to have like somehow one of each, like group A and group B, or if it's just going to be one of any of these. If he only does have one, my preference is this axe right here. You know, if you had a murderous demon horse chasing you that was wielding a giant axe like this, that would be, yeah, you can see the hooves there with like kind of the lava coming out of him, and he's just kind of emitting power from inside of his body as well. But yeah, this is my choice. Let me know down below what weapon you like the best for the demon horse. All right, here we got Chernbog, just a concept. He's sort of the opposite deity of Belbog, which we've seen before, you know, kind of the light and dark, yin and yang, good and evil of that faction as far as those deities go. Again, I don't really have a good idea of what skills they're going to have overall because they are sort of the two head gods, so it could be anything, right? They can do anything they want with them. I am guessing, you know, they will sort of have opposite skills, you know. If Belbog heals, maybe he'll have sort of a drain or a poison skill, something of nature, because physically they look very similar. So it would make sense thematically that they would have similar skills that are sort of opposite. And here's a better look of his other stuff and the weapons again, sort of giving me a scimitar vibes, but a little bit different, or maybe almost I don't know, a sort of a warped katana of sorts. But yeah, pretty cool. This guy looked pretty cool as far as a concept, you know. His name is Susanu. I think that's how Simon said it. But yeah, giving you that sort of badass samurai vibe, right? With this special sort of pattern on the sword, kind of giving you that water vibe. So maybe some of his skills will be have to do with water somehow. Maybe he'll knock down a group of enemies with a wave or something. We'll have to wait and see. But again, he's looking pretty sweet. Oh, and the lightning, I missed that. So maybe sort of multiple elements. But yeah, very cool. Digging that. I don't remember how he said this character's name. Changi, I think. It's right there. And as you can see, it's a reskin of this character, which I can't pronounce. But I did notice this flower and sort of this crescent moon and then that shape right there that also kind of reminds you of a moon. So, you know, I was thinking, you know, some type of lunar character. So maybe she'll put characters to sleep or something like that. A control type character. You know, possibly some type of buff as well. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, very great concept as well. Oh, and you can see the faction up there. Sorry, I forgot that part. All right, here's my favorite of the bunch besides the demon horses, I called it. I call this character the murder bride. Simon called it Peloponnesa, I think is how he said it. I don't know if her name is on here anywhere. Either way, this is my favorite. This kind of reminds me of the Red Wedding from Game of Thrones, if perhaps the bride wasn't killed and she escaped. And like I was talking about the scythe weapon earlier, she has this sickle with the skull right there. But doesn't she give you the vibe of like a jilted bride, but jilted in the sense that her husband and her guests were all murdered at her wedding and she's seeking revenge? This character is very cool. I'm going to guess it's going to be a epic though. But yeah, this is my favorite. The murder bride, as I'm calling her. Let me know down below after you've seen them all, who's your favorite of all these new characters. Okay, here we got Shungi, I think is how it's pronounced. Again, the weapon looking very cool. And again, sort of giving you that samurai vibe, but in this case, this sort of elder, very experienced samurai that you also don't want to mess with, as opposed to the one we saw earlier, with which I thought had some sort of elemental damage to it. This is possibly, you know, more traditional, maybe physical damage. You do see the dragon over here, so I'll have to wait and see how that really gets incorporated with the skills. Maybe there's some type of fire damage on its ultimate. But yeah, a great concept. Okay, we got Svarog here. This character kind of reminded me of, you know, let's say like Diablo 2, Charcy dies and then the barbarian has to take over as sort of the smith for the group, you know, but also fight his way to kill Diablo. So this might be, yeah, this will probably be my third. First is Murder Bride, second's Demon Horse, And third would be the barbarian blacksmith. And again, I forget the name of the character, but there's some character that has a bunch of weapons on him. And you see this character is going to have a bunch of tools. So again, I'm wondering if we'll see something where specific attacks, he will pull out specific tools and use them in combination with his weapon to attack. You know, definitely you can see with these two down here, these small ones, as far as like these tongs, I don't know what he would do with that, you know, grab a character with him or something, or maybe, oh, how about this? Maybe he kind of throws down his anvil, pulls it off his back, hammers something with the hammer, and then grabs something hot off of it and throws it with the tongs at the enemy. I know that'd be a pretty complicated skill to animate, but hey, they've shown us some pretty crazy stuff so far. Who knows what else they could be up to? But yeah, this is my third favorite. Here's just some more views of him, you know, obviously rendered in 3D. You can see his weapon there and the anvil on his back. And some of the waist tools. Actually, you can see most of them right there. And then the tongs right there. But yeah. Oh, and the helmet on as well now. Maybe it's a visor because this is his hair. But yeah, looking very cool. Oh, and I wanted to point this out. The symbol that's on the side is actually on the front as well. So I wonder, you know, could he do a skill where he hits a character in the chest and the symbol sort of imprints and then it starts burning and explodes or sort of burns through the character or something along those lines? You know, sort of heats the hammer up using the anvil like a little mini forge skill or something. All right, here we got, I think it's, oh man, I can't say, I don't know how you say it, but it's XIP Totec. And again, sort of like that Unpooch character we saw, you know, there's no lips and something's going on with the face. So could this be sort of the male partner of that other character, you know? Because you see over here too, sort of a skinned human being, and he called him the flayed man when he was talking about it. So kind of similar to the other character, like I was saying, you know, sort of a corpse. So could they possibly be a tandem working together? You know, skills that might complement one another. We'll have to wait and see. But in this one, the weapon is pretty dang crazy. I don't know exactly, because this almost looks like a handle, right? But then it seems weird to hold the club like this. So I'm wondering if it's kind of like one hand is down here at the bottom if you see my mouse, and another one's in the middle. So it's kind of like a staff slash club. I don't know. But anyways, a great concept. Oh yeah, this was great to see. This is what Excalibur is going to be. And this is freaking crazy, man. Obviously, these two look pretty similar. I don't know what the vines are. If that's sort of, you know, when he uses an ultimate or if it's just between the two concepts right now. It's hard to tell exactly what the handle is on this one with the vines. So if it is like that, I kind of like this one better where you can really see the hand grip a lot. And then you can see the lettering more clearly on this one. Obviously in game, it might be kind of hard to see that. So it might be kind of moot. And this one would actually look cooler in game. But yeah, I vote for the one without the vines right now. And you can see, you know, the faction symbol at the end of the handle. I don't really see it anywhere in the hilt, but the hilt's very cool as well. I wish I could zoom in on that. I can't tell what that is, if that's like an animal head or what. But yeah, very cool. Okay, here we got Himiko. Not really sure what type of character this is based on the garments. You know, it could be anything sort of, you know, related to an Asian culture or samurai, but the weapon gives me almost a priestess vibe or maybe a mage vibe, you know, with that jewel at the top. But again, a very nice concept. Can't wait to see more. Here we go. I was looking forward to this when it came one day, you know, a 3D render of Montezuma. Here's the concept drawing and then, you know, the rendering. And we can see the coloring. I believe quite a few videos ago on Godforge leaks for whatever month it was, we saw the concepts that were just different colors. And it is interesting. It looks like they combined the coloring, you know, because before it was kind of all this color green, if I'm remembering correctly. So they kind of combined a few, and I think it actually does end up looking better that way. So great choice on their part. I don't remember seeing this shield, so that's the first time I think I'm seeing that. But sort of this, I don't know, weird skull thing on it. But yeah, that looks cool. And as I said before, I really hope they have a skill called Montezuma's Revenge, but we'll have to wait and see when it comes out, right? Oh, I didn't notice that. The tusks. I thought that was part of the helmet, but that looks like it's part of his earring. Mm. And you can, ooh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, look at this. Yeah, yeah. So that, it's hard to see, but that looks like part of kind of a snake's head. So I'm guessing when he pulls it down, the earrings kind of incorporate, you know, some fanged reptile. So I wonder if that's going to be like part of his ultimate, that he pulls his face mask down and then does some type of huge poison skill or something, or maybe just a huge amount of damage. That could be very cool. Ooh, or I didn't think about that. Man, I'm getting all these ideas. This looks kind of almost like Quetzalcoatl, right? So what if he pulls this down and sort of turns into Quetzalcoatl or teams up with him or something? But yeah, or maybe he killed Quetzalcoatl. That's kind of what it looks like too, right? Skinned him and is now wearing him, showing his dominance or something. Yeah, very cool. Very nice. Very nice. Oh, yeah. This was crazy when I first saw this T-Long. Like the detail in, I don't know if this is a crown that it's wearing or it's part of this dragon, but yeah. Again, dragons, huge part of this game. Why are there so many dragons? You know, what are they going to be part of? I still think they're going to be used in sort of a negative fashion, that they're going to be used to overthrow the gods or defeat them or imprison them or something. But yeah, look at the detail too on like this, like, I don't know, hip piece and shoulder piece. And yeah, you see there what faction they're going to be in. So this is a character you can get. So very awesome. Yeah, just take a minute to appreciate this, you know. Either pause it here or go back and look at Simon's video. I can't wait to see this character in game, especially if like its hair kind of like floats and flutters when it moves or something. Yeah. Anyways, got to keep moving. There's a lot to cover. Okay, this was interesting right here. He called this Pater's Workshop. I don't know if that's like a I can't understand him type thing, like American English to traditional Queen's English, as they call it, you know, if I'm spelling it wrong, but I couldn't find anything. But this was very intriguing. You know, what is this? Is this going to be a place where we can make weapons? Is it an arena? Is it like a bonus stage, you know? Because look at this right here. What the heck is this? Looks sort of like Egyptian, right? The face, but then the serpent crown makes you think sort of more Aztec or Mayan. So it's like a combination of different cultures here. So I don't know what's going on in this little, like, is this a shield or some type of other device? I don't know. And then there's gears right here. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see what this is. But again, this has me super intrigued. Let me know down below what you think this might be. Again, I think Pater's Workshop is what he called it. And then here I wanted to just show off this wallpaper they made. I hope they put this somewhere we can download, because I mean, look at Thor, man. Like, the MCU ain't got nothing on this store, right? This is freaking cool. We got, you know, the Minotaur back here. Oh, oh man, I can't remember. Her name escapes right now, with the snake shield. Ugh. I got to figure it out. Hold on, I'll be back. Okay, it was Athena. I couldn't remember that. And then I think this is Odu Nobunaganu, if that's how you say it. And then I'm not sure who this is. It looks like a couple characters possibly, but from the Omeacan. I'm not sure how you say that faction, but the one that's sort of supposed to be Aztec or Mayan type characters. Almost looks like Lady Zox without her sword, but she also has kind of a skirt. It also kind of looks like Zachi Quetzal, I think is how you say it. But either way, I think it's from that faction. But yeah, I hope they make this available to download, because that is very cool. All right, let's take a look at the skills before we go. Okay, here we got Quetzalcoatl doing its ultimate. Simon asked what we think's going on. I think it being an invoker, it's kind of it looks like it's you know, spitting fire there, but I don't think that's what it's going to be. I think when it kind of puts its wings out, like right here, it's going to be like blasting down energy that it's summoning from somewhere. That's my guess. Okay, here we're gonna see some Mordred's skills. He's from the Avalon faction. He's I think he's Arthur's son. I can't remember, but not a good guy. But either way, his skills look very cool. Let's take another look from another angle. But yeah. Oh, I didn't notice that. Ooh, that one. Ooh, let's go back, take a look at that. Or is he gonna show it again? Yeah. This sort of summoning of power, and it swirls around him. Yeah. All right, here we got Heimdall. He asked us, what do you think's going on here? And at first, I was like, oh man, if this is sort of like ice skills, I wish it would be more crystallized looking. But then I thought, he kind of can see, all of the realms. He controls the Bifrost and all that. So I was thinking maybe it's not ice. Maybe he's almost like summoning a cosmic power to do damage, which is why it's sort of this ethereal look. It's, I don't know what you want to call it, but he's summoning from somewhere else. So it makes sense why it doesn't look crystallized. So I think it might be just a pure damage skill, like an AoE, like a big hit. So that's my guess down below, or that's my guess. And let me know down below if you agree, or do you think this is ice? If you are watching this and you aren't subscribed, if you wouldn't mind throwing me a subscribe, it would help. I haven't really got any new subscribers in a while. That's okay. I'm going to keep plugging away. But like I said, my goal is to get to 50. And if you are subscribed, it does seem like I have a pretty loyal group of about 30 something people, which I feel is great. I know a lot of people might not think it is, but to me it is. So if you wouldn't mind throwing me a thumbs up if you made it this far and you like what I'm doing. This has been HLock. Thanks for watching. Bye.